GGB, and if you didn't cheer, you'll co-host Poppers. Hi, baby. We haven't seen you guys in a long time. We're glad to be back. I hope you guys are as hyped as I am. NFL season starting soon. College football season, technically, if we're talking about it, started on Thursday. But ACC plays, the play that actually kind of matters, starts on Thursday. So, since we're getting this new week of college football, NFL football, and I'm hyped. I hope you guys are hyped as well. We're going to go full 8 days, straight 8 days of videos to get you as hyped as I am for this college football season. Hopefully this episode will be coming out on Saturday. But if it's not, then that's disappointing. But definitely. So today, start us off, why not go look at the future? An NFL playoff video. Who's going to make it from each division? Who are going to be the wild cards? And what are the seedings? Today, Poppers and I will be bringing you the results, or what we think the results will be. But let's change this shirt, shall we? That's freaking better, right? Let's go! Oh, I'm so hyped for football to be back. And as you can see by Popper's face, she's very hyped for it to be back as well. But let's start out with who we think is going to be the 1 seed in the NFC. Okay. And I know this might draw some arguments, but it's going to be this team, the Saints. In my opinion, the Saints are the number 1 and the best team in the NFC. I don't see any way around it. The Saints have all the parts this year. They have Drew Brees, which they had last year, I guess. Yeah, checking. They've lost some real close ones, and I think this is the year they pull it off. Let me explain to you why. Drew Brees is still in New Orleans. Alvin Kamara, Michael Thomas, and this is what, and their offensive line is still very solid. I love the Cesar Ruiz pick. I mean, a lot of people think it's not that great of a pick. I think Cesar Ruiz has a chance to be very good on that offensive line. But here's the biggest thing. We added a second receiver in the offseason. We got someone else who can complement Michael Thomas, which is really why we lost that game against the Vikings in the wild card weekend. But not just that, the defense looks so good this year, and since I am recording this on Friday night, I don't know quite yet who's signing Jadeveon Clowney. It's likely before the start of the season, and the Saints are a major one. If they get Jadeveon, they're on a Super Bowl run. I just don't see any way around it. They're such a great team. If they add another pass rusher, I think they're going all the way. Okay, let's look at the second seed. And this one's going to be... My NFC picks are absolutely insane, so bear with me for that. The second pick, my opinion, the number 2 seed is going to be this team right here, the Detroit Lions. And let me explain to you why. Okay, let's look at the NFC North. I understand, insane pick. But the Packers right here, they looked like they were going to be good. I just don't have faith in Aaron Rodgers, and they did everything possible in the offseason to make sure they're not going to be good the next year. The Vikings right here, I just don't trust their defense anymore. It's just... they literally got rid of everyone that made them good. I just don't have any faith in their defense. Plus, their offense just really isn't that good without Dalvin Cook. And Dalvin Cook is sitting out in a holdout. I just don't know how good they're going to be at the beginning of the season. I just don't have faith in the Vikings and the Bears. Now, the Bears, I think, have a really good shot at being good this year. But if you look at the Lions' offense, you have Matt Stafford, who, in my opinion, is the best quarterback in the NFC North and possibly a top 10 quarterback, if not top 5. Running back situation is absolutely insane. You got Kerryon Johnson, who proved to be a very good running back last year, and you have DeAndre Swift. Insane. Wide receiver core, you got Kenny Galladay, Marvin Jones Jr., and Danny Amendola. All played fantastic last year. And the tight end situation, I'm really hyped about because you have TJ Hawkinson and Jesse James. Jesse James has proven to be a reliable target, and TJ Hawkinson has the potential to be great. Now, the problem here is the defense, and that's the big question mark, isn't it? The cornerbacks right here. We have 2 very young ones, but I also think 2 very good ones have a chance of really breaking out this year. Number 1, this one's going to be controversial, but I think Amani Oruwariye has a chance to be fantastic and be the number 2 cornerback for them. But we'll have to see how Detroit does. I really think they're going to be the number 2 seed this year. Now moving on to the number 3. Again, an insane pick. But if you think about it, the NFC North, really a different team wins it every year. It seems like the Lions time. This one, there is a reason why. I'm picking the Cardinals, and there's a lot of reasons why. But number one, the reason I'm not picking San Francisco is, if you notice, the team that wins the NFC every year almost never wins the division the same year. If you go back one year, it's the Rams won the NFC. They didn't win their division. The year before that, the Eagles won the NFC. They didn't win their division. And you can keep going back. The Panthers won the NFC. They didn't win their division. It's insane. Almost every year, the team that wins the NFC does not win their division, which means, really, even though how good the Niners are, they're really out. I don't see them as the chance of winning at all. Now, Seattle, again, a lot of guys are going to argue with me this. I don't see as great of a team, and I don't even see them making the playoffs this year. Again, insane, but I know I'm going to get a lot of hate of that in the comments. But here's the reason why. I think Russell Wilson is great, but everyone else on that team is so lackluster. They just aren't that good other than Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson can will them to victories, just not that many. They refuse to get any help for the guy in free agency and get any wide receiver target whatsoever other than Tyler Lockett. And Tyler Lockett's just a speed guy, not really a receiver other than that. Their running back situation is okay at the very best. Chris Carson's a good running back, but again, can't handle that many carries a game. He needs to have another person, and Rashad Penny just doesn't seem like the guy. And Carlos Hyde, he looked good in Houston. I just don't think he's going to have the same production here. The Rams, Jared Goff looked bad this year. So, last year, I mean. Cardinals, and here's why I love the Cardinals. I love the Cardinals for one reason, it's Kyler Murray. I love Kyler Murray so much I can't even tell you. Okay, Kyler Murray has a chance to be the next Deshaun Watson in my mind. Deshaun Watson's insane. Kyler Murray has that chance to be that guy. He looks like a combination of Lamar Jackson with his running ability. I mean, Deshaun Watson's good, but I think Kyler Murray's closer to Lamar with his running ability than he is to Deshaun. But he's also so great of a thrower, which is why I think they're going to have a good year. Kenyon Drake is out. Well, I'm scared about that, but at the beginning of the year, they have to play the 49ers. But I think Kenyon Drake's a very good running back, and he has a chance to be a very good, solid. He's going to be out at the beginning of the year. They're not going to have as much running back production, which is why they're going to go to Kyler Murray so much more. But they have so much talent on the offensive side of things. If you look at it, you have Christian Kirk, you have Larry Fitzgerald, and the best guy of all, Nuke Hopkins, who's going to absolutely destroy it on offense. Also, they got the best defensive pick in the draft, in my opinion. Isaiah Simmons fell all the way down to them. They didn't even have to move, and they got, in my opinion, the best defensive player in the draft. He is so good. He can play linebacker, he can play safety. I'm just excited to see where they put him. Also, another big thing is in the draft they got Josh Jones, the offensive tackle out of Houston. Such a great player, and I'm excited to see how the Cardinals' offensive line holds up. Now, again, another controversial one. The number 4 pick is the Washington Redskins. I know you guys are thinking, not the Washington Redskins anymore. It's the Washington football team. In my mind, it will also always be the Washington Redskins. And on my channel, I will never not call them the Washington Redskins. They will always be the Washington Redskins from now on. I was thinking about doing a video on, like, my reaction, at the very least, to them changing the name. But I think this Dan Snyder picture fits perfectly. Great, isn't it? How I felt. I'm sorry. If you guys didn't get that, it's how I felt. But, when they changed the Redskins name. But, the Redskins have a chance to be great this year. The Adrian Peterson cutting a few days ago made me a little bit worried, but here's the reason why I love them so much. Dwayne Haskins showed significant growth at the end of the season, which is why I really like him as a quarterback. And if he fails, Alex Smith is ready to step in, or if Dwayne Haskins gets hurt, Alex Smith is ready to step in and resume that starting role. And I really like Alex Smith, and I think he's a great player. Okay, also, I know a lot of people. I took a flyer on the fantasy player this year, and I think it's going to pay off huge dividends for me. I took a draft in Antonio Gibson. I drafted him way higher than he was supposed to be drafted, but I really liked his potential out of Memphis. You know what I got? He is now going to be the starting running back for that team. Also, Bryce Love's also going to get some carries, but what I love about Antonio Gibson is he can play wide receiver, he can play running back, which means he's going to be a significant threat on offense. Bryce Love, also a lot of people forget about him. He was a Heisman candidate a few years ago, so don't forget about that guy. He's a great, great running back. Now let's look at the rest of the offense skill positions, okay? A lot of people say the wide receivers suck for the Redskins, but let's go over them. Terry McLaurin, Scary Terry, one of the best wide receivers in the NFL right now. He's so great, and he has a chance to be really good for the Redskins. So, obviously, he's the number 1 receiver. But the big question is who's going to be the number 2 guy. They had a guy, Kelvin Harmon, a 6th-round pick from NC State last year. But, fortunately, he got hurt at the beginning of the year, which means the second guy that we're looking at is Antonio Gandy Golden. I believe I have his little card. Yeah, it's right there, if you don't see it. out of Liberty. He is a really good contested catcher, which is why I really like. You have Scary Terry, who's very speedy, and you have Antonio Ganagold, who's going to get those 50-50 balls, which is why I'm excited for that receiving core. Not to mention the slot receivers. And the slot receivers have been guys that you wouldn't think would have been so productive, but very productive on offense. Okay, so here's the big question. In my opinion, is it going to be Trey Quinn or is it going to be Steven Sims? Now, Steven Sims proved to be very good last year, but so did Trey Quinn has equal the same claim to the role. They're both very good at the slot job, which is why I'm excited. If they can utilize both, I'd be very happy. Okay, tight end. Moss's son. They got Moss's son in free agency as an undrafted free agent. He is going to be great for them. And although offense, I know you may not think this is so great, and that's fine. But look at that defense. You got Chase Young, you got Montez Sweat, you have Ryan Kerrigan, Jonathan Allen. All those guys are going to rush the passer. I'm sorry, I forgot it. It's insane. Absolutely insane. Right here, this guy, Cole Holcomb, possibly one of the best rookies last year. That middle linebacker can dominate, okay? Not even going to mention. Okay, the cornerback situation is I can see a lot of people are hating on the Washington corners, and there is a good reason why. It's that they're not very good. But the safeties, I think, can really pull it out for this year. If their defense can hold up, I think it can be very well this year. I think the Redskins, this is controversial, is going to win the NFC East this year. Now, okay. Now let's go to the wild cards. And these ones aren't as crazy. I'm going to take the 49ers as the 5 seed. Again, I think the 49ers are going to make the playoffs. I just don't think they're going to win the division, as I said before. But they have a very good team built up. Jimmy G is a very solid guy, and the way Kyle Shanahan makes his offense is absolutely amazing, and their defense is still so very good. I think they're going to get the 5 seed this year. Now, the 6 seed, I think it's going to be the Bucs, and I'll explain to you why. I think a lot of people are expecting the Bucs to make the playoffs, and it's because of one thing, Tom Brady. Now, I don't have as much faith in Tom Brady as everyone else does, but I do think he's good enough to get them to the playoffs, okay? And I'll explain to you. I think Tom Brady is good enough to do checkdowns, and that's all you really need to do in this offense. You got the explosiveness of Mike Evans and Chris Godwin, and people are going to have to play off of that. Also, don't forget, at running back, they signed Leonard Fournette this week, and while a lot of people don't like him because he's a very polarizing guy, and he very much is, he has talent. And unfortunately, in Jacksonville, it just didn't work out because Jacksonville is literally one of the worst places to play ever. It's so horrible. But as a Jacksonville fan, it really sucks to watch. But everyone that's good leaves there, and it's angering. But it's just the way it is. Leonard Fournette is very good. Also, their defense, not very good, which is why I think they're not going to win the division this year, which is why I think the Saints are going to end up sweeping them in the regular season, because the Saints are just very, very good at every single position. Okay, let's talk about the Bears. I know this is going to be insane. This is my 7th pick. This is the 7th seed in my mind, and I'll explain to you why. Their defense is very good, okay? Don't forget about their defense, but their offense. Let's not forget, at the end of the year for the Bears, when they let Mitchell Trubisky play Mitchell Trubisky football, they did very well. They ended up winning a lot of games when they let Mitchell Trubisky be Mitchell Trubisky and not try to slide him into a role that doesn't fit him. If they can play football the way they do with Mitchell Trubisky, letting him run more instead of making him try to be a pocket passer, they're going to end up being the 7th seed. My opinion, I think that's what's going to happen. Also, don't forget that Allen Robinson is on this team, one of the best wide receivers in the NFL, so don't forget that. Now let's move on to the AFC. Okay. Now, AFC is a rather tough one. Actually, really 3 divisions are going to stay the same. So, I'm giving you a hint, 4 divisions, they're not totally out of the blue. Actually, all these teams are really, really good, and they're probably favored. Most of them are favored to win the division this year. Now, the wild cards I go with are absolutely insane, so stay with me. Okay, obviously, the number 1 seed, I think are going to be the Kansas City Chiefs, mainly because the Kansas City Chiefs, in my opinion, are the best team in the entire NFL this year. They have Patrick Mahomes, they have Tyreek Hill, and they have Travis Kelce. That's really all they need on offense. On defense, they really took a step up last year, and that's why I think they're going to end up being the number 1 seed. Now, the number 2 seed, in my opinion, are going to end up being the Ravens, and there's a reason why. Because the Ravens are really good. Lamar Jackson on offense really works for them, especially if you include Mark Ingram in that equation. And although the wide receivers did not do that well for Baltimore last year, mainly Hollywood Brown, I think Hollywood Brown has a chance to up his level of play this year. And their defense is honestly so good. Although they lost Earl Thomas, which is a big loss. I don't care what a lot of Baltimore fans say. Even though he can be polarizing, he's one of the best players in the NFL. Now, Houston Texans, and I'm picking the Houston Texans for the 3 seed for a reason. It's because Deshaun Watson. I understand Bill O'Brien is an absolute maniac, and he does a lot of crazy things a lot of the time. But Deshaun Watson will win games, everyone. Stop backing away from the Texans. I understand Texans defense does not look that strong other than J.J. Watt and Whitney Mercilus in his own regard. But Deshaun Watson wins football games in the clutch. He comes out on top a lot of time, which is why every single season he started for an entire season, he's made the playoffs. Why would you be betting against that? That just doesn't make this. Not just make the playoffs. He won his division every single year that he has started an entire season. He did start his rookie year, but he got hurt most of the part of the way through, so not exactly his fault that he didn't make the playoffs there. Okay, but let's go on to the AFC East, which in my opinion is going to end up being the 4th seed in this team, the Bills. And I really think the Bills have a chance of going a long, long way this year. I really do. Josh Allen, a lot of people hate on him. He is a really good quarterback. And I think we saw it in the wild card game. He really can put a team on his back and carry them either to overtime or he tried to get the W. Although, I gotta say, refs were not helpful to the Bills in that game. They definitely did not seem to want the Bills to win. But the defense is really good on this team, and they have a chance of going a long way this year. Don't be surprised if the Bills make it to the championship this year. They're a crazy talented team. Look at the wide receiver corps. Stephon Diggs, Cole Beasley, John Brown. All those players, fantastic. Also look at the running backs. Devin Singletary and Zach Moss. Zach Moss, I'm trying to remember. I think he was 6. I think he was 6 on my running back list. But he has a chance to make a big impact on the team. Devin Singletary has already proved to be good. Now let's look at the wild cards. Again, I said it's insane, but the 5 pick is not that insane. It's this team, the Tennessee Titans, and there's a reason why. Derrick Henry is literally the best back in the league, and I don't see how you can stop him. And adding on top of that, the defense is so good, you're going to actually have to score. They play old school football, which I really enjoy watching. Run the ball a lot with Derrick Henry, who is a really good running back, and play really great defense, which is what the Titans do, and I think it's a recipe for winning in this league. The Titans are going to be good this year, and watch out in Wild Card Weekend. Okay. Now, here's where it gets insane, the 6th pick, and it's going to be the Denver Broncos. Now, a lot of people will think, why didn't I pick the Patriots, Steelers, Jets? I don't know. Why would someone pick the Jets? I mean, Colts, Raiders, maybe them. There's a reason why. I really like the Broncos this year. Drew Lock was on fire at the end of the year. Not only mentioning that, running back-wise, they added Melvin Gordon to a lineup that already had Phillip Lindsay. Defense is already phenomenal. Wide receiver core, you have Courtland Sutton, who has already proven to be a great receiver in the NFL. Jerry Jeudy in the 1st round, also a great receiver in college. Now, a lot of people are forgetting about KJ Hamler. KJ Hamler was a fantastic receiver at my favorite college team, Penn State. But I watch KJ Hamler a lot. He is speedy, and he's going to be very good. He has a chance to be amazing. Also, don't forget at tight end, they also have Noah Fant, who was a 1st-round tight end 2 years ago. And he can be a great tight end. So, don't forget about the Broncos this year. They're going to be an insane team to watch out for. Now, last team. Drum roll, please, Adelaide. This is the insane one. It's the Dolphins. And I know what a lot of you are thinking. The frickin' Dolphins? Come on. Okay. I'll explain to you why. I know it's insane. I don't really think Colts are probably better, but I think the schedule lines up for the Dolphins. They get to play the Patriots, which in my opinion, other than the Jets and the Jaguars, might be one of the worst teams this year. Without Tom Brady. I understand Cam Newton hype, everyone, but just Cam's no longer Cam. I think people forget about that. Cam is not the Cam we all knew and loved during his MVP season, or hated. It depends on who you rooted for and how much you liked Cam. But he's not that guy anymore. In my opinion, Patriots lose a lot of games this year. Might be even end up with the 1 seed. At the very most, in my opinion, you can call me out on this later in the season if I'm wrong. The 3 seed, not the seed, I'm an idiot, but like the draft pick. I think they'll, at the very least, end up with the number 3 draft pick. Because in my opinion, they're the 3rd worst team in the entire league. Entire NFL, which I'd never think I'd say about the Patriots, but I am. The Dolphins. Here, I'll explain to you why I like the Dolphins. Ryan Fitzpatrick plays Ryan Fitzpatrick football. At the end of that year, this year, it was very good football. He won a lot of games by himself. Now, they went out and they added a lot of players to him. Not only, they have great wide receivers, bringing back Devontae Parker, and you have Preston Williams, the rookie, and you have Allen Hurns. A lot of great receivers. Don't forget tight end Mike Gesicki, who was also very good at the end of the year in his own right. Now, also on defense, they added a lot of key players, which I am hyped about. I'm excited for most of them. Also, they added some offensive linemen. There's a lot of great things going on in Miami. Free agency, they did extremely well. And in my opinion, Miami is on the up. I think they make the playoffs this year. And I think the Bills and the Dolphins are going to be at the top of us. It's going to be weird to say. Bills and the Dolphins will be at the top of the AFC East in a couple years. And they'll be duking it out every year for a chance to go to the playoffs. Anyways, this is GGB, co-host Pepper, saying, adios, amigos.